is it all going as they just battle and get crazier and crazier?
Well, the way this usually works, unfortunately, is when you have an outsider like Donald Trump, first they try to discredit you, then they try to destabilize you, and then they co-opt you. Sure, there's some things I'm disappointed in. I don't know why we're still in Syria. I don't know why we're still in Afghanistan. I think the generals are misleading the president on that. Yes, everything in Afghanistan will collapse when we withdraw. But that's true if we withdraw tomorrow.
It's a collapse-filled society of inbred. The facts are they're almost all inbred mental patient cavemen from planet Pop-Tart.
Right, and it's all going to collapse into the toilet when we leave, no matter when that is. So we're just buying time with American dollars, which are borrowed, and American lives. Makes no sense to me. The president was elected as a non-interventionist on the foreign policy front. He's got the North and the South.
The globalists just use it as a way to sap the U.S.
At Real David, former MSNBC host runs Democratic PAC, keeps majority of money raised for herself.
That we're even in cesspool, crap hole, you know what hole.
A Democratic PAC run by former MSNBC host Crystal Ball pays the majority of the money it raises to her and gives less than 3% of the moon.
War room with Owen Schroyer. Doing some plugging, I said, hey, I got a plug coming in.
At Thomas 1774 Payne, elementary principal announces he is transgender, will start dressing as a woman.
Herbology and Chinese medicine, the rest of it. But we just set out.
A 52-year-old male elementary school principal has announced he is now transgender and will begin dressing as a woman at school. Tom Daniels, principal of Stanley School in Swampscott, Massachusetts.
For like $30 right now. Brain Force
At Red Raccoon, mental health is topic of discussion among Republicans today. They seem to overlook the fact that they want to appeal the ACA and strict Medicaid and Medicare.
I did 3 major speeches. I did Oxford, I did Durham, and I did Cambridge. And then I did media events in between, including an extraordinary beatdown of the BBC where they tried to trip me up and I destroyed them. It wouldn't have been possible without Brain Force. The thing I like about this, Alex, is it gives you a mental clarity and a mental lift, the ability to work another 6 hours.
Here is what POTUS had to say to the children across our country today.
And you never will be.
It has no carryover effect.
You have people who care about you, who love you, and who will do anything at all to protect you. If you need help, turn to a teacher, a family member, a local police officer, or a faith leader. Answer hate with love, answer cruelty with kindness. We must also work together to create a culture in our country that embraces the dignity of life, that creates deep and meaningful human connections, and that turns classmates and colleagues into friends and neighbors.
Like, dude, your own product, Brain Force, let's take one. So we're doing it right now. Not as a staged event here. This is what we're really doing because I got a long way to go in a short time to get
we are grieving with Parkland, but we are not powerless. Caring for our kids is our first job. And until we can honestly say that we are doing enough to keep them safe from harm, including long overdue common sense gun safety laws that most Americans want, then we have to change.
Everybody else been getting this stuff, been sick for a week.
Well,
I'm blessed.
I had the flu, and it's my own fault because I should have gotten immune wall sooner than I did, and it hung on for a month. And then when I hit the immune wall, it's the olive
why didn't he Google give his address to the feed?
Hard to find inequality. I turned the corner.
You know your stuff.
YouTube blogger Ben Knight sent a video screen grab of a comment shared by Cruz on one of his videos in September, when the boy wrote, I am going to be a professional school shooter.
No, we go out and you're right. If I took, I'm so arrogant. I was saying this last week before I got sick. I'm like, oh, I've got the flu and everybody else has it. See, and I go, but I don't even take my own
At
stuff
political.
so much of it.
Clapper disputes when it stretches credulity to say Russians didn't impact election.
Here and there, and I've got all these, but there's so many great products. I have been taking the allergy.
At Brian Claus,
pollen block.
the shooter in Florida couldn't illegally buy Budweiser, but he could legally buy as many assault rifles and bullets as he wished. Pure madness.
This cannot be a political
like Trump.
issue.
I'm like Trump. I don't even ever take
We have to be
aspirin.
practical.
But this
I
is an
support
act.
the
Last
Second
aspirin
Amendment.
from a plant too.
But we have to
this
have
is from Mother
we have to have
Nature. We should
smart
be
gun
taking
safety
more.
laws.
Well, if you go back and you looked at our shows on Monday, I was losing my voice. I was raspy. I was tired. I hit the silver colloidal
At Fox
formula.
News, at Kamala Harris, at Kamala Harris, I support the Second Amendment, but we have to have smart gun safety laws.
It really, this stuff works. Couple chops. I do it. You know.
Listen. It was.
At Beryl Santifa too. Take a look at this video. I used to shoot a watermelon using an R-15 gun or 4 no.
Children off. They're visiting their mother, and I'm driving home, and I'm like, man, somebody's supposed to punch me in the chest.
At Real Donaldum,
This flu.
in times of tragedy, the bonds that sustain us are those of family, faith, community, and country. These bonds are stronger than the forces of hatred and evil, and these bonds grow even stronger in the hours of our greatest need.
Of terrible violence, hatred, and evil.
Immediately got a lot better. And I think that's
around 2:30 yesterday afternoon,
Well, it's also
police responded to reports of gunfire at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School
if you do mineral
in Parkland, Florida,
and you
a great and safe community.
And the silver
there,
colloidal,
a shooter
it just torques up your own
who is now in custody
like that. You feel like a new
opened
person.
fire on defenseless students
it's an
and teachers.
antibacterial. Above 30
He murdered
they can get it a lot smaller.
17
it is
people
very toxic.
and badly wounded.
Seen as generally safe.
At least 14
all
others.
Antibiotics are poison, folks.
Our
It's not
entire
like
nation,
but that's
with
why
one
the
heavy
ancients,
heart,
every culture said
is praying for the
royalty
victims
ate off silver, even
and their
above gold.
families.
The silver
To
spoon
every
in the mouth
parent,
of your baby,
teacher,
because
and
they
child
knew even keeping food
who is hurting
in
so
silver
badly.
containers made it last longer.
We are here for you.
It's a great product.
Whatever you need.
And as you point out, when
whatever
people,
we can
you
do
go to the drugstore, by the
to
way,
ease
you
your
go to
pain.
Walmart or CVS, and
We
you'll
are all
find
joined
formulas
together
that say
as
they
one
do the same thing
American
as our
family.
stuff.
And by the way,
And
And your
they use
suffering
fillers, they use substandard
is
ingredients.
our burden
that
just
also.
like the Liberty Movement led this.
No
I remember
child,
being on air
no
23
teacher
years ago.
should ever
and
be
people
in danger
calling me because I was
in
like,
an
I don't
American
eat vitamins, I don't
school.
eat nothing. I'm working out every day.
No
I'm in
parent
great
should
shape.
ever
Yeah,
have to
22
fear
years
for
old.
their sons and
They're like,
daughters
the colloidal silver
when they
Alex is
kiss them
incredible for
goodbye
topical or credible
in the
for that.
morning.
I'm like, yeah, whatever. And finally,
Each
I
person
researched it. My dad's, a
who
doctor,
was stolen
chemist,
from
and
us
a
yesterday
world surgeon.
had a full life
He
ahead
said,
of
no,
them.
son, it's an ancient,
A life filled
known
with wondrous beauty
antibiotic, blow
and
lives. It's real,
unlimited
but it's got you can't eat
potential
too
and
small
promise.
particles. They say it's better.
Each
and so
one
I started
had
having
dreams to
sponsors.
pursue.
And then, like 10 years later, start seeing it at CVS, Walgreens. Now you go in hospitals, they're not spraying iodine, they're spraying silver to kill germs.
screamed
Iodine
out,
isn't working.
"This is
I'm not
wrong."
knocking iodine. I don't want to go on a whole
Pretty
rant.
shocking.
Absolutely.
Really
InfoWars with our audience. We, Liberty Movement
There was a lot of
first,
grief.
we pioneered
They wanted
silver.
justice.
And like you said, it's everywhere now.
Yeah, it's interesting because the mainstream media makes fun of us for
was
promoting
nowhere
a line
that
of
was
natural
safe.
supplements. The point I don't think they get is we have no corporate sponsors. There's nobody saying, Alex, you can't say that. Alex, you can't cover that subject. It's too sensitive. So it gives us journalistic freedom, and it pays for the expansion. Folks, I have seen the new studio here in construction. It's state of the art. It will just blow your mind.
The satellite uplinks.
Yeah, it's going to be unreal.
But let's go further. Jeff Bezos, $112 billion, bought Whole Foods, bought everything. He's downgrading the quality. It's his own people admit it.
Back in September, the YouTube
and
commenter calling himself
Jeff
Nicholas
Bezos-
Cruz left a message for Ben Benite, the YouTube blogger who frequently records and posts videos on law enforcement issues.
Like 7. I know the brands in there. I know the manufacturers where they
At
got
Singal,
$1
at
in
least
the
mid,
product and it's 40
spectacular
bucks.
piece here by
Ours
at
has
least
got
mid
$15
Conline Media
a
one
product.
T
It's
report on
$35
implosion of the
on
Russia
the show.
collusion
I'm gonna
narrative
start
because
showing
media
the
were
blurred out
complicit in the lie and
contracts.
eagerly
People
foisted
agree
it
to
on
do
the
it,
public.
companies. And I'm going to show what we're doing at the same factories
The
versus
press
what
has
they're
played
doing.
an active role in the
And then he's got
Trump-Russia
his own
collusion story
Washington
since its
Post
inception. It
attacking
helped
me,
birth it.
saying I'm
That is
ripping
why they
people
raid him
off
now.
and supplements are a scam when he's the
At
biggest
Tariq
supplement seller
Nashi,
in the world.
another
and
East
has
student
some
in
great
Spartanburg Co.
names.
SC,
He
has
the
been
very
arrested
best in
after
there,
threatening
third
students
party.
and staff
He's
at
come out
Blue
with
High
all
School.
his own labeled
He was
stuff that's
threatening
pure
to do a
crap.
copycat
So I'm
version of the
coming
Florida
after him. I mean, he
massacre.
is just a monster, man. He is a monster. He doesn't even want us to exist. He's such a greedy asshole. Excuse me. God, I hate him. Just
no, I like
get him off screen.
I like the idea of taking some of the Whole Foods products and combining them with ours and just going head to head.
At Natasha Veteran, in his inaugural address, Trump declared, "This American carnage stops right here. I'll be able to make sure that when you walk down the street in your inner city, or wherever you are, you are not going to be shot. Your child isn't going to be shot."
To displace everything. And I'm just saying, we know everything he's involved in.
Your child isn't going to be shot, Donald Trump vowed. It was a promise he could never have kept, but there is no evidence he even tried.
In other words, you get some of the finest Chinese herbs.
At TISA 4031M, are you kidding me? What about motor vehicle accidents? Do we bend MBCPPL get good? There is a human element behind these tragedies. A gun just like a car didn't do it, just stay in Thursday Talks.
You really are smart. I'm not just saying that because I didn't know you were this big herbologist. That's exactly what I
At
want.
Columbia Bugle,
Documented,
breaking statement from WH press secretary says that the WH strongly opposes the Schumer-Collins amendment. Good work, everyone. Now let us continue this topic.
Doesn't Bezos get that? Don't sell somebody a bottle of crap.
At MCSPOCKY, Trump campaign co-chair gets 20-year sentence for trafficking minors.
On the site, not hundreds, thousands of people who say, I love
At Emma Persists, at Tom Flaruta, at Tom Flaruta T, at Ben Codenswell, why can't we all have responsible discourse politically, socially, fiscally to leverage common strengths and talents toward resolving this national crisis? Kudos to Tom Flaruta for standing up and challenging opponents to begin the conversation. Thanks for proposing solutions.
Thistle extract, 600. Silmarin, I mean, it's got all the stuff, N-acetylcysteine, organic alma fruit, it goes on and on. That's $19.95.
At
Competitors are $40.
Quick question, how do you conceal carry a rifle?
I mean, we're like, if something's $19.95, it's got like $10 a product. You know, if something's 60-something bucks, it's got $30 a product. And these companies cannot believe someone's putting this.
Hello, everybody. It's Thursday. It's February 15th. Our dear friend Jenna Bush Hager is in for Hoda today, who's, of course, at the Olympics on this very sad day. Very, very sad day. I thought Hoda and Savannah handled the news about the shooting in Florida and the 17 children who've lost their, and not just children, but others who've lost their lives. They handled it so beautifully.
Yes. They did.
It's hard, you guys, for all of us to make sense out of something so evil, but our job is to come on the air and usually entertain you. So it's I don't think you understand. I mean, why would you have to? The dilemma we feel. There's a part of us that wants to grieve along with everybody else, right, Jenna? But there's another part of us that says, but we want to ease your burdens. We want to make you smile and change the tone a little bit. But we had to mention it because there's too many people suffering. Other people are in critical conditions still, so the death rate might rise. So,
and the thing is that we all of you who came here today, we get to go home and
news
hold
and
our
current
kids.
affairs from Germany and around the world. DW.
But those parents that lost 17 kids won't.
And other family members and
other family members, these high school students who witnessed the unimaginable won't.
Their lives are changed. The ones who survived, their lives have changed forever as well,
so
too. You're a teacher.
Yeah,
You started out as a teacher.
I was a teacher.
Martin Schultz steps down as SPD head news DW 13.2018.
It is the most important job there is.
Other than being a parent.
Other than being a parent.
Mm-hmm. I think so.
Other than being a parent.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we don't appreciate our teachers enough in this country.
There's some real acts of heroism that are coming out, not just teachers, but, you know, when one individual does such
Zimbabwe
evil,
opposition
it's
leader in
amazing how
Zimbabwe
much
rival Morgan
beauty
Tsvangirai of
comes
cancer
out
at
of the
65
ashes
friends
also.
24.
And how true heroes, people that never thought of themselves as a hero, are shielding
1 in 6 children live in war zones. State of Children says News DW 15.2018.
Or what you are until a moment like that. And because we don't know, wouldn't you like to think that you'd be one of those people?
Yes.
But I'm in my depths of my soul. I think I'd be running
The
for
New
the
York
hills
Times
with everybody
fires tech writer
else.
Quinn Norton, and it has complicated wired.
I taught 9 years ago, or 10 years ago, before I started here, and we weren't asked to do this type of thing as teachers.
Turkish PM hopes German journalist in prison for past year will be free. Friends 24.
18 shootings in the last 45 days. It wasn't happening.
It wasn't happening in schools.
In Columbine the way that it was, the way that it is
now,
the way that it is. And so now, not only are we asking our teachers to educate our next generation of students, but we're asking them to stand in between a gunman and save their lives.
Yeah.
So thank every teacher that you see today.
There's so many good ones. We hear about the bad ones in the rubber rooms and all of that.
Celebrate the good ones.
No, we don't.
And we don't appreciate teachers enough and
2018 Worldwide Threats Briefing 5 takeaways from Russia to China wired.
You know, I have 2 little girls. And
oh yeah, what are their
now
names?
Now you could raise something from your life. Syria and the U.S. clashed for control East W for 80 Syria deeply. Friend trade in Mali leaves at least 10 jihadists dead. Friends 24.
As parents, as community
Democratic
leaders,
Task Force outlines voting security plan with first primary just weeks away wired.
So let's do it. Let's protect them.
Acclaimed Russia for cyber attack says one to tolerate disruption.
Ever change. We all get outraged by it for about a minute now. It's so common, and nothing really changes. And I don't know what the answers are.
No.
But we have to agree, at least in all of our disagreement, we have to agree that something.
We
have to work on it. And I think, you know, you've noticed that we haven't spoken the gunman's name.
And
we're not going to show you any video. We're not going to do any of that because there's too many people. Yeah, we're not going to make him a hero. And maybe somebody won't be so inclined to one up the last mass murderer, you know. So anyway, I was just thinking, you can't help it. I was in Los Angeles yesterday for some meetings, and I love to go out and see my kids.
Endangered by criminals at sea.
I was thinking about, you know, how much the world has changed since I was raising my child. Cody
elected as president of South Africa after Zulu's departure.
I know. Makes you feel old, doesn't it? Remember when I was nursing him?
Yes. I was a baby too.
Started talking. Anyway, I mean, I never, ever, in the morning when I sent my children off to school, never even dreamed that such a thing was possible. So it is, all the statistics are going the wrong direction.
Says one
Can we at least agree on that? Yeah.
And I think sometimes as citizens, we forget that we have power too.
Amen, sister.
So speak up. Whatever you believe, speak up.
Japan
so that
Trump agreed to keep up pressure on North Korea.
Our father will have to go through what those parents have to go through.
And Lord, be with every one of them right now. Yes. May your comfort and strength be with them. I don't know what people do if they can't just say a little prayer for somebody. How do you get through the day? God bless you. Okay, we're going to be right back, and we're going to just try to have some fun with you all today now, okay?
Multiple news outlets are reporting an active shooter has opened fire at Marjorie
South Korea's Pyeongchang Winter Olympics costs
Florida.
Benefits of hosting.
WSVN reports there are at least 20 victims. The shooter is still at large. The sheriff's office said via Twitter. Students at the school were being evacuated to West Glades Middle School Wednesday afternoon. SWAT teams were seen entering the campus with canines. A number of people could be seen being
Analysis
loaded
Iran
into
and Israeli
ambulances
containment
on a
in
stretcher.
Syria
Reports
deeply.
CBS Miami. Officers asked people to avoid the area. The Coral Springs Police Department
Florida
told
suspect
teachers
Nicholas
and
Cruz was white
students to
nationalist
remain
as Trump reacts
barricaded
to school
inside
massacre.
until police reach them. CBS Miami's Rick Folbaum
Syria
was
2018
speaking
the
over
major
text
issues for the
message
year
with a
ahead.
student
Syria
at the
deeply.
school who is hiding in a closet. All of a sudden there was a really loud noise. People are crying the closet, the student wrote to him.
In a few minutes, when this vote closes, we're going to go upstairs and hold a moment of silence for the victims of yesterday's shooting. We've lowered the flags.
Study ultra-processed foods like chicken nuggets linked to cancer.
Our first thoughts are with the families of those who are lost. We know at least 5 people right now are fighting for their lives, and we need to pray for each one of those people who are fighting for their lives right now. We also just thank God for law enforcement and for the heroes at the school.
Number of crypto hedge funds soars amid Bitcoin volatility.
There are a lot of worries that come with being a parent of teenagers. We've got 3 of them. But this is the nightmare. This is pure evil. For these kids, yesterday should have just been typical high school day. In an instant, this became the worst day of their lives. You know, I was just looking at this morning. I go back to this message that one of the students sent to her mom. She said, "If I don't make it, I love you, and I appreciate everything you did for me." I mean, all that fear, that terror, for her to think of love and even gratitude for her parents. We can learn a lot from our kids.
Intel Chief sound alarm on China threat. Alex Jones info hours there so we're on for your mind.
We need to think less about taking sides and fighting each other politically and just pulling together. This house and the whole country stands with the Parkland community. I'm going to take some questions, but we started late here. I'm going to be a little brief because I got to get upstairs to the chair. So, Chad.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. When you talk about not taking sides, the minority leader just stood here a few moments ago and was critical of their demands, their request to have a select.
Search. I always find the weirdest things. Would delivery hash drones be all that efficient? Depends where you live or wired. I hate going into the deep dark parts of the internet.
What do you, is that the taking of sides that you're referring to?
As you know, mental health is often a big problem underlying these tragedies. That may be the case here today based on earlier reporting.
If the idea of swarms of delivery drones dropping packages all over our cities started out as a joke, for some reason the punchline hasn't landed yet. Amazon applied for a patent in 2015 for a command center, like a beehive, plopped into your city, which isn't a worrying metaphor at all. Google has its own program in the works, which at least for the moment involves delivering burritos. Again, if this is a joke, it has got a very long fuse. Forget about the insane logistics of such a system for a moment, or if you'd even be keen on drones swarming your town. The big question is, would this actually be a better, more efficient way to go about things than traditional delivery trucks? Without a real system in place, that is tough to answer. But today in Nature Communications, a group of researchers have taken a shot at modeling the energy efficiency of delivery drones, and compared it to classical fleets of delivery trucks. Which comes out on top? It depends, basically, on a slew of factors that you probably haven't begun to think about, but they are the same ones companies and regulators will have to chew on as automated delivery becomes more plausible. First off, different regions of the country employ different levels of renewable energy like solar, which means charging all those drones would release different amounts of carbon dioxide depending on where you live. So for this study, the researchers compared emissions impacts at both ends of the spectrum. In a very green state, California, and a very not green one, Missouri. What we found were mixed results, says lead author Josh Stolaroff, an environmental scientist at Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory. There is a possibility drones can reduce greenhouse gas emissions and reduce energy use, but you have to be careful how you deploy them. Study ultra-processed hash foods like chicken nuggets linked to cancer.
Who had been
Take a good look at what I just found.
Of domestic violence. He wasn't supposed to get a gun, yet the Air Force didn't give the records to the instant check system, and he got a gun. That's one of the reasons why we passed legislation.
Consuming more highly processed foods proportionately increases the risk of cancer. A study has suggested. A team of researchers, led by a team based at Université Sorbonne in Paris, France, examined the medical records and eating habits of over 100,000 adults and registered their typical intake of 3,300 different food items. The kinds of ultra-processed foods associated with the increased risk of a disease included cakes, chicken nuggets, mass-produced bread, fizzy drinks, confectionery and processed meat. Generally, these foods contain long lists of additives, flavorings and preservatives as well as high levels of sugar, fat and salt. The results, published Wednesday in the British Medical Journal, show that a 10% increase in the amount of ultra-processed foods in a person's diet was linked to a 12% increase in cancers of some kind. The study has prompted health experts to urge caution at its findings, while also stressing a healthy and balanced diet is best. Number of crypto hedge funds soars amid Bitcoin volatility. I hate going into the deep dark parts of the internet.
Are those laws where they need to be? Is it being implemented properly? Are they being enforced correctly? Remember, we do have laws on the books designed to prevent people.
The number of hedge funds focused on trading cryptocurrencies more than doubled in the 4 months to February 15th, despite sharp falls in the value of the virtual coins in recent weeks. Data from fintech research house Autonomous Next showed on Thursday. The firm recorded a record high of 226 global hedge funds with such a strategy, up from 110 global hedge funds as of October 18th. That itself was up from 55 funds at August 29th and just 37 at the start of 2017. Assets under management hit between $3.05 and $5 billion, according to the firm. The surge in funds comes at a volatile time for the cryptocurrencies they trade in. After hitting a record high close to $20,000 in December, Bitcoin 70% of its value to slip below $6,000 in January, posting its worst monthly performance in 3 years. Bitcoin has since recovered some of those falls, but at just below $10,000 is still only worth around half what it was a month ago. Sports thrive in North Korea despite sanctions. Hold up, you have to see this.
Breaking FBI knew Florida shooter was going to attack.
North Korea's sanction-riddled economy has limited the country's presence on the global stage, except for in sports.
Suffered the kind of day where people remember what they were doing when they heard the news. The families of the thousands of children and teenagers.
Years of economic punishment for nuclear belligerents haven't stopped the reclusive regime from managing a decent track record at international sporting events. At the 2016 Rio Olympics, the isolated nation clinched 2 gold medals, better than India's performance, adding to its 4 gold medal count at 2012's London Games. Weightlifting, wrestling, boxing, judo and gymnastics are the North's major strengths at competitive tournaments. During the 2014 Asian Games, the Pariah State took home an impressive 11 gold medals, 4 of which were in weightlifting. Ice hockey is another forte, with the men's national team ranking 39th globally, according to the International Ice Hockey Federation. As of this writing, no athlete from the country had reached the podium in the 2018 Games. News and current affairs from Amash, Germany and around the world. RDW. Crazy people everywhere.
But they didn't deem it to be a priority threat. They did a preliminary check and apparently just moved on.
Chancellor Angela Merkel met Turkish Prime Minister Binali Yildirim in Berlin amid hopes of improved relations and some movement on jailed journalist Deniz Yusuf. But there was little progress in evidence. Good article. In a short statement, President Trump spoke of the need for healing and fighting mental health problems but did not mention guns. The shooting was the 5th deadliest in US history. The day after ex-President Jacob Zuma's 9 years in office ended, fellow UNC politician Ramaphosa took the presidential oath amid parliamentary protest. Ramaphosa promised to fight the corruption that had tainted Zuma. The Gupta brothers are accused of having corrupt links to former South African President Jacob Zuma. The country's state prosecutor has declared Ajay Gupta a fugitive from justice. The teen, known for violent behavior, had been expelled from the school prior to the attack. It was the 18th school shooting of 2018. Business News #markets reports and financial news from Skybar Sky News. Would you just look at this? Gosh.
The comment read, I'm going to be a professional school shooter. Bennett lives in Mississippi and says he was immediately contacted by the local FBI office. He met with agents the following day. That was the last.
MPs slammed the handling of the closure of a pension scheme which they say allowed vulture financial advisors to target members.
Crews for the murders of 17 people in Wednesday's school shooting in Parkland, Florida. Bennett was again.
Everyday household items including fridges and tumble dryers are putting hundreds of families at risk every year.
Special Agent Trianford left the following voicemail. I think we spoke with you in the past about a complaint that you made about.
A survey from the Office for National Statistics tracking typical weekly spending may raise concerns about childhood obesity.
And ask you a question with something that's come up, if you wouldn't mind giving me a ring. As of this writing,
the rapper's company had been suing Lloyd's of London for nearly $10M over the payout for a cancelled tour in 2016.
The same Nicholas Cruz arrested for Wednesday's shooting massacre. Too often we find incidents like the Las Vegas massacre where the shooter never gave